sticking with the US, and Trump has blasted Kamala Harris's speech at the Democratic National Convention earlier this week. Well, of course he has, but where she promises to make changes to the immigration system, pledges support for Ukraine, and has vowed to lift the middle class. Trump called into Fox News to slam Harris.
All of these things that she talked about, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to do everything. But she didn't do any of it. She could have done it 3.5 years ago. She could do it tonight. She didn't talk about China. She didn't talk about fracking. She didn't talk about crime. Look, she's a Marxist. She always was. She always will be.
I have to say, I always find it laughable when Kamala Harris promises to make all these improvements. You've been in the White House the last 4 years. What have you been doing in that time?
Going to crack down on illegal immigration.
Oh, well, exactly. She'd have to go to the border first to be able to do that. And remember, she didn't even go to the border.
Get her a compass.
Natalia, do you agree with Trump and what he was saying?
Oh, absolutely. And exactly right. She could go back and fix that. But she's trying to ride on this honeymoon stage of her replacing Biden and people finally happy somebody is not demented.
Well, look, that is a big plus, Freya, you have to say. She doesn't appear to be suffering from perhaps the cognitive decline, but when that is on one of the major things on your side, it's a pretty low bar.
Yeah, the bar is very low for the Democrats at the moment. I mean, yeah, it's a campaign of vibes over substance. As Joe said, hasn't done a single interview, hasn't released a single policy page on her website. I mean, her social media is full of brat summer and all these TikTok trends, which, must be working with Gen Z. But in terms of her actual substantive policies, there's nothing.
Well, you can see why she hasn't gone and done any substantial interviews, because she's not a great performer.
No, but to be honest, I think she's quite sort of vacuous. She's a sort of she's a sort of bunch. This is where her infamous word salads come in, because she doesn't actually know what she's talking about. She's a bunch of words in search of a meeting.
She's notoriously reluctant to do research or to read papers.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and I think that's the problem. I think Trump only wins when the other candidate, there is something toxic about them. There was clearly something really toxic about Hillary, a whole bunch of stuff you can put on, a whole bunch of skeletons, blah, 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 blah. Biden, of course, we all know, the double haters. Biden, people might not like Trump, but at least he can string a sentence together. This guy's clearly got dementia. And this is why it's Kamala Harris's election to lose. They need to put pressure on her to crumble in an interview. If they can expose this secret Marxist agenda, if they can really nail all that to her and make her look like the Wicked Witch of the West, then that, I think, is their way to win. Otherwise, I think the anyone but Trump vote, which is what got Joe Biden home. Again, and Trump is phenomenal, because everyone voting for Trump is voting for Trump. So he commands each one of those votes, people who have walked through hot lava just to vote for him. That's a phenomenal amount of charisma and pull. But again, versus every single person who doesn't like Trump for their own individual reason, and that is everyone from the Romney Republicans to the Sanders socialists. That is a huge coalition for one man.
Put a number on it. I talked to James Morrow about this, and James said his research suggests that 40% of registered voters are ABT, anyone but Trump, right? But that's 40%. So he's not going to win those. He can win the election on a narrow margin, which is how he wins, without those 40%. And you've got to wonder whether the people in the middle are going to look at this woman and say, yes, that's what we want, someone who doesn't say anything. Greg Sheridan is one of my heroes as a journalist, and he coined a wonderful expression. She's offering a vibe in a vacuum. Well done, Greg. Great expression. And I don't believe, Joe, I don't believe you can win an election on a vibe in a vacuum. It won't work.
No, but the thing is, it's not going to be enough to get, that's not going to be toxic enough, bad enough to get people who otherwise weren't planning on showing up to vote to say, holy crap, this woman's going to destroy the country. I better get out and vote for her. Hold my nose and vote for the other guy.
We have got 3 months to go, and a lot can happen between now and then. And of course, the first debate that's coming up in September, I think that might change things, but we'll keep an eye on it.